Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the live debating session being organized at Speech Academy Asia Parkway Centre. We are looking forward to an exciting and enriching debate among children in the age group of 10 to 13 years of age. The motion of today's debate is Singapore should adopt renewable energy completely. To debate on this topic, we have team proposition on my right that shall speak for the motion, whereas on my left, team opposition shall speak against the motion. Without further ado, let's invite the opening speaker from team proposition, Jonathan.
Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan and thank you for the honor to speak. I stand here representing team proposition that firmly believe that Singapore should adopt renewable energy completely. Renewable energy plays a crucial role in saving the environment by reducing the harmful impacts of traditional energy sources, particularly fossil fuels. Renewable energy significantly reduces greenhouse gas emissions compared to coal. When we burn coal, we release massive amounts of carbon dioxide, which is one of the primary greenhouse gases responsible for global warming and climate change. This is especially bad for us as Singapore is highly vulnerable to the effects of climate change, including rising sea levels, increased heat waves, and more frequent extreme weather events. Relying on fossil fuels to meet energy demands will only worsen the challenge posed by climate change, especially for a small, low-lying country like Singapore. In contrast, renewable energy sources such as wind, solar, and hydropower produce little to no carbon dioxide emissions during operation. Solar and wind, for example, release nearly zero emissions, helping to slow climate change and reduce the global carbon footprint. Renewable energy can also conserve water resources. Conventional power plants require huge amount of water to operate, which can strain local water resources, and as we are all very well aware, we barely have enough for consumption and even have to buy water from Malaysia. Renewable energy, on the other hand, requires very little water to operate. In fact, a study by the Union of Concerned Scientists found that solar panels and wind turbines require up to 90% less water than conventional power plants. Some may argue that certain materials used to manufacture parts for renewable energy may negatively impact the environment, such as cadmium that is used for solar panels. True, but it is far less harmful than coal in terms of environmental impacts and the many problems it brings along. The benefits simply outweigh the risks. As such, Singapore should adopt renewable energy completely. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. That was very well spoken. Now the first speaker from team opposition, Leroy, will come forth to express his opinion on stage.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Leroy and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am here to speak against the motion that Singapore should not adopt renewable energy completely. With the operation of renewable energy systems such as solar panels, wind turbines, and hydropower plants, produces little to no direct greenhouse gas emissions. The production and installation of these technologies can have significant environmental impacts. Many manufacturing processes for renewable energy infrastructure often require the extraction and produce of raw materials which negatively affects the environment. For instance, the production of solar panels involves the use of rare earth metals and other materials such as silicon, silver, and aluminium, and mining for these materials can cause deforestation, soil erosion, and water contamination. Besides that, adopting renewable energy completely for Singapore is just not feasible due to land and space and land constraints. We are a city-state with a total land area of only 733 square kilometers, a space that must accommodate over 5.5 million people. In this densely packed environment, every square meter counts, whether for housing, industry, or green spaces. Large-scale renewable energy systems such as solar farms, wind turbines, or biomass facilities require significant land to be effective. Unlike larger countries that can dedicate vast stretches of land to renewable energy projects, Singapore simply cannot afford to do so without sacrificing essential infrastructure or natural areas. To illustrate, a typical utility scale solar farm generates around 4 to 5 megawatts of power per 1 square kilometer. Singapore consumes about 50 terawatt hours of electricity annually. To generate this solely from solar, it would require 333 square kilometers, almost half of Singapore's land area, which is clearly unfeasible. What about windmills? Onshore wind farms typically need 0.3 to 0.5 square kilometers per turbine and generate about 2 to 3 megawatts of power. Depending on the wind speed, for Singapore's energy needs, approximately 2,300 wind turbines will be repaired, factoring how Singapore isn't known for high wind speed. This will occupy a vast area, far exceeding Singapore's land or nearshore waters. Therefore, relying entirely on renewable energy is just not possible.
Thank you, Leroy, for such an insightful opinion. It's time for the second round of speakers. From Team Proposition, Andreas will now speak for the motion.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I support the motion that Singapore should adopt renewable energy completely. True, with limited land space, it can be for Singapore to transition to renewable energy. However, there are several solutions that we can employ to overcome this challenge. For example, solar panels have been installed on the rooftops of buildings, including our HDBs and commercial buildings. In fact, in 2023, Singapore installed one of the largest rooftop solar installations on its public housing buildings, which has the potential to generate significant renewable energy. Singapore faces another crucial issue: energy security. As a small island nation, Singapore is heavily reliant on imported fossil fuels to meet our energy needs. However, this reliance on other countries for energy makes us vulnerable to price changes, supply disruptions, and political tensions. But renewable energy changes the game. By harnessing the power of the sun, wind, and water, we can generate our own energy right here at home. This reduces our reliances on foreign oil and gas, making us less vulnerable to price shocks and supply disruptions. solar energy. In particular, it's an area where Singapore can excel. Our tropical climate and high levels of sunlight make us an ideal location for solar energy generations. In fact, a study by the National University of Singapore found that Singapore has the potential to generate up to 4.5 terawatt hours of solar energy per year, which is equivalent to about 20% of our current electricity demand. In addition, as a signatory of Paris Agreement, Singapore has committed to reducing our greenhouse gas emission by 36% below 2000 levels by 2030. Renewable energy will play a critical role in helping us achieve this target. Besides pricing changes, supply disruptions, and political tensions, coal and fossil fuels is finite resource. One day it will run out. The extractions and use of coals are unsustainable in the long term as it depletes natural resources, so it is a matter of time where Singapore has to progress to 100% renewable energy. Why not do it now? Thank you.
Well done, Andres. Thank you for such insightful perspective. Next, Ashley from Team Opposition will come forward to speak against the motion.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ashley, and it is my honor to speak with regards to why I'm against Singapore adopting renewable energy completely. To a certain extent, renewable energy does provide a measure of security for energy availability and production, and it's easy to get caught up in the hype surrounding it. But I'm here to tell you that renewable energy is not the panacea for energy security that it's often made out to be. First and foremost, renewable energy sources like solar and wind are intermittent. They're not always available when we need them, and they can't be relied upon to always provide the power we need. Let's consider solar power. Solar panels only generate electricity when the sun is shining. This means that their energy output drops to zero at night or when it's raining. For instance, countries located in tropical or temperate regions, such as Singapore, will experience rainy seasons or extended periods of cloud cover. This will greatly reduce solar energy production for weeks at a time. What about wind power? Wind turbines depend on wind being within a specific range. Too little wind and turbines won't spin. Too much wind and it must be shut down to prevent damage. Wind is also highly unpredictable and unevenly distributed. Calm weather conditions can lead to outages, especially in areas of low average wind speeds like Singapore. In hydropower, Singapore's geography is unsuited for this. Most countries with a successful hydropower system, such as Norway or China, benefit from large rivers or mountainous terrain, which create the elevation and water flow required for hydroelectric dams. However, Singapore is a flat, low-lying island with no major rivers or water bodies that generate the kind of flow necessary for traditional hydropower systems. With these variabilities, renewable energy sources mean that they cannot provide a steady, consistent supply of electricity. This is in stark contrast with conventional energy sources, such as coal or natural gas, which can produce any time the energy that a striving first country needs to function. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Very well done. It's now time for the last round of speakers. Let's welcome Jonathan from Team Proposition to come forth and speak on the team's behalf.
True, renewable energy may not always be 100% reliable depending on weather conditions, and there could even be high upfront costs. These are valid concerns, but we have effective solutions. Advances in technology have made renewable energy more efficient and cost-effective. Large-scale energy storage systems or very big batteries can help store excess energy generated by renewable sources during periods of high production and release it when demand is high or production is low. Renewable energy is not just good for the environment, it's also good for our economy. The cost of renewable energy is decreasing dramatically, making it more competitive with fossil fuels. In fact, the cost of solar energy has fallen by over 70% in the last decade alone. This means that transitioning to renewable energy can actually save us money in the long run. Moreover, embracing renewable energy can also create new economic opportunities for Singapore. We can become a hub for renewable energy innovation and manufacturing, creating new jobs and driving economic growth. In fact, a study by the Singapore Institute of International Affairs found that the new renewable energy sector could create up to 15,000 new jobs in Singapore by 2030. And as the world moves forward, sustainable practices, Singapore can position itself as a hub for green investments, attracting foreign investments. Of course, some of you may be thinking, but isn't Singapore too small to make a difference? Or don't we need fossil fuels to power our economy? Let me tell you, Singapore may be small, but we are a significant player in the global economy. And by transitioning to renewable energy, we can set an example for other countries to follow. In fact, many countries around the world are already powered almost entirely by renewable energy. For example, Costa Rica has been running on 100% renewable energy for several years now. So what's preventing Singapore, a first world country, from doing the same? Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. That was brilliantly expressed. Now, we'd like to welcome our last speaker for this debate, Brian, from Team Opposition, to come forward and speak against the motion.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today on the crucial issue regarding the transition of renewable energy. Even though renewable energy may be good for the economy and provide a measure of security, there are still downsides of it. Renewable energy systems such as wind and solar farms could be affected by cyber attacks, while wind turbines could also be affected by terrorism and vandalism. While renewable energy holds immense potential for sustainability and reducing our reliance on fossil fuels, the initial transition can be challenging, particularly in the terms of upfront investment and its impact on both energy prices. One of the key reasons renewable energy can result in higher energy costs in the short term is significant capital investment required to build infrastructure. Transitioning from fossil fuel-based systems to renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, geothermal, or hydropower requires considerable upfront spending on a new energy generation facilities, grid improvements, energy storage technologies, and backup systems. These projects can take years to complete, and the financial burden is typically passed on to consumers through higher energy prices, particularly if these costs are not subsidized by the government. High energy costs can significantly affect Singapore's economic competitiveness, especially in industries where energy is a major input. Energy-intensive industries such as manufacturing and chemicals are particularly vulnerable to rising energy costs. Singapore is a home to major industrial sectors, including electronics, pharmaceuticals, and petrochemicals, which rely heavily on affordable and stable energy prices. If energy costs increase, it could affect business and that are already contending with the global competition, and companies in Singapore may consider relocating their energy-intensive operations to countries where energy costs remain lower. For instance, Companies in the electronics sector may look to Southeast Asia, where energy costs are lower, to remain competitive. As a result, Singapore will lose economic competitiveness. Therefore, I'm against the motion that Singapore should adopt renewable energy completely.
Thank you, Brian. With this, we conclude the live debating session. Hope you have enjoyed watching it. We thank all our participants for having spoken very well and giving their best. We look forward to more enriching and exciting debating sessions with our young, dynamic debaters.